Today we're going to be taking a look at a coaching session that I did on the SkillCapped website that instantly resulted in the player going on a win streak and climbing nearly a whole division in just 2 weeks. This player had just a couple of bad habits that tons of low elo players have that were completely destroying their chances of winning games, and just with a few simple fixes we were able to get that player climbing in no time. My goal was to give this player actionable advice that he could very easily apply in his games to start climbing. Be sure to stick around till the end of the VOD because I will give you 4 pieces of actionable advice that you can apply in your games today that I believe will instantly help you rank up. Hey, what's up? So in this VOD, we're going to be taking a look at something that I call analysis paralysis in lower elo. This is very common in players below gold. We're also going to be talking about just a little bit of team coordination things, bad habits that you're potentially building up, as well as how to have more impact in the rounds throughout your games. The impact thing is some advice that I've given to a lot of students before. It seems like it really helps them, and we're going to kind of break down exactly why that is. Starting off with this first round, we'll kind of showcase what we're talking about with analysis paralysis. You're going to drop the smoke right here. You're going to peek this choke point right here, and we're going to spend a good 5-6 seconds just staring at this duel right here. So this is obviously bad because this is a wall right now, right? It's not a door, it's a wall. We have 2 teammates in heaven right here. So these guys are looking to come into heaven and they're looking at entry. And notice how this few seconds that we're going to spend just kind of staring at this door is going to actually screw up our timing, where our Sage is actually going to push out of heaven, if you can see her up there. And she's going to die, and now the door's broken and we're reloading, but we weren't able to like really get anything off of that kill, which kind of sucks for us because we were in a 3v2. We had the advantage, right? So even though we have our Bulldog and maybe they have guns this round is entirely possible. Looks like this guy's a Spectre, but theoretically they would normally have guns in this round, but they don't. And you kind of just give up your teammate there, and then of course you do something silly with the molly, but I don't really care about that. Obviously, like, it just comes with game sense. Don't peek your util out. Like, maybe you're getting a little bit too greedy with it, but really in these scenarios, what I'm thinking when I'm like setting up for a retake is I'm thinking like, what do we need to do to get in here, right? And like the first thing you do when you peek this entryway and you see that this door is shut, you need to just immediately start bringing this thing down, right? Unless you're like worried about somebody being pushed through. Right? If you're worried about like maybe somebody being here or something, maybe that's why you would wait and you clear this out first. But like as far as I'm concerned, it seems like it's just a wall here, right? So you need to shoot the wall down, and this is going to be actually very common in lower ranked players. A lot of the times they'll do things like they'll sit behind smokes. They'll just kind of like wait during retakes. They'll wait in rounds where they just could be doing other things, right? You could be shooting this wall. This happens with Sage walls a lot. It happens with Deadlock's wall. Basically, if you're ever just kind of sitting there and you're not getting very much accomplished, you got to think about your time as it's like valuable, right? The spike's ticking right now, and like it's not even just the spike's ticking and we're running out of time in the round. You're running out of time before your teammates basically throw their life away. They're gonna run in here eventually. They're not patient. They're gonna run in, and when they run in, you want to make sure that you are ready and you are prepared to help them. So you really need to shoot down this wall first. There's something earlier on in this round I wanted to talk about though, which is actually just referring to your buy. Normally, I wouldn't go too much into this, but I just wanted to talk about how you make the decision to force in this round, which is actually, I think, good because it seems like your Fade wants to bonus right here. And this is a very common thing for a lot of players. Even in Immortal, they get this wrong. So right now, look at our money, right? We have a decent amount of money here from Brimstone, 3,800. We have the 3,100 from Chet. Angie is a judge, which is a very strong weapon, honestly, on even a buy round. This guy's 6,800, which is crazy. He's probably going to lose some credits this round because he's going to cap out. We have this guy 4,000 credits. We have this guy 4,000 credits. I'm not sure if you see the Spectre from the last round, but you know, say you guys are chilling. Like, Spectre's not horrible. Judge isn't horrible. You can probably buy, at least with light armor. This guy can buy one. This guy can buy one. He might be able to buy himself too, actually, if he died. This guy can buy. So all of you can buy right now. And if we look at the enemy's money right now.
Can you still get a Phantom?
My teammate can buy me. Hopefully Fade by.
So look at the enemy's money, right? We have more money than them right now. 4,600, 6,300, 3,000, 4,000. This guy's 4,000, 2,600. So this guy can't full buy. This guy can't really full buy. This guy can't full buy. It's going to be a light armor, right? So if you have 3 players on their team who can't buy, and the only buys are coming in from these guys, you guys actually have the money advantage right now. And rather than like this guy chilling on a ghost and you kind of going for a Bucky or like a Bulldog or whatever, this guy going for a Bucky, what I would recommend is what makes the most sense is for you guys to buy. Now, this won't always happen in lower ranks, but I actually kind of I like the Bulldog buy because it gives your team a better chance in this round. And I'm not really...
could I get a buy?
I'm not a fan of bonus rounds because I think that people misunderstand them. It's only a bonus if the enemy team is ahead. If the enemy team has more money than you and you have like some guns to spare, it's like a save round, but you have your guns, so you're gonna bonus, right? But in this round, you guys are ahead and you're taking a bonus round, which isn't really a bonus round. It's more of a catch-up round for them. Like it's an opportunity for them to come back. So that kind of sucks that they end up winning this because you guys could have easily invested like more money into your guns and you probably could have won it, yeah. But you guys didn't. So, I mean, I like the Bulldog buy. I think you made the right decision. It kind of sucks if your team's not doing it with you, but for the most part, like next round, if you don't have money, what you can do and what you're going to do, right? Because I believe that you save and you can like easily pick up a rifle off of a teammate if they do something like crazy. So, like if I saw my Jet peeking right here, rather than playing with a Bucky back here in this position where I can't help her, what I would like to do is I would like to be up on this front line. So the Jet's going to take first contact, and then optimally she'd dash away. And then when she does that, you can take the next contact, right? So you'd be like sitting right here with the Jet, with your Bucky. She takes first, she dashes, and then you Bucky the player as they run up. So that's normally how you would kind of do like a bait and switch setup, right? And that's going to work a lot better than like just playing back generator with a Bucky. Because with a Bucky, you're kind of just hoping that they walk into you, but it's just really not a great position. So I do like this repositioning over here towards door. Something that I was going to mention in this round too is just like the Sky ultimates available. I don't expect you to be conscious of this in your rank, honestly. You're pretty low rank, so it's like I wouldn't even be worrying about the ultimates all that much. But I mean, like if it's something that you're looking to improve on, you can definitely always check up here, and you can see like what is their team comp, what is it good at, what is it bad at, right? And I could tell you basically for a Sky, she's always gonna dog out of here or like ult it, and she's always gonna flash, or at least she should anyway, right? So you just need to be prepared for these things because there's no reason you should be caught off guard by it because it happens like every time, right? If you guys enjoy the content, by the way, keep in mind that all of our VOD reviews are uploaded to the SkillCapped website for you to view. We have dozens of VODs just like this one that you can binge watch and instantly learn from. And we even recently just posted a brand new Brimstone course that we highly recommend you check out if this is your type of agent. It will teach you all of the most important smokes that you can apply to any controller in the game on every single map, as well as exactly how you should play post plants to win more games. Brimstone is quite possibly one of the strongest agents of the game for climbing out of low elo, so don't sleep on this, because we will get you climbing in no time. Let's get back into the video. So similarly to this next round, we're going to work out your buys because I think that you are kind of like screwing yourself over in terms of like your improvement, but also just like your buys are just suboptimal. So what you're going to be doing this round is you're going to be purchasing up a Sheriff, a Bucky, and light armor. Which seems like it might be kind of good, right? Like you have the Sheriff that's like decent at long ranges, you have the Bucky, it's decent at close ranges, and then like you have the armor obviously, but in this scenario, right, limit your money, not really perfect. It's okay, you guys can maybe do a force here, but for the most part, I would rather, if you're going to do something like this, just pick one or the other, right? Because you're not really going to be using both of these guns throughout the round. Maybe you will, but it doesn't seem like you're taking advantage of it all that well. It seems like you favor the Bucky, and it seems like you don't really use the Sheriff a whole bunch. Maybe because you bought the skin, you like to like spin it around and stuff. But so notice this round, you're going to start the round, and I like this position a lot better for the Bucky right here. But you need to be like desperate to be like getting in good spots to use your guns, right? So like right here, you're going to molly it, and you don't see anybody, and then you're going to make the decision to rotate through spawn right here, right? And if you think about like with a Bucky, where are you ever going to find a good angle with a Bucky to like take fights right here? Like you're always going to be kind of like stuck. So what I would have preferred is like playing close catwalk with your Bucky, even if they do end up going B, at least like that's a better position. Or if you wanted to peek out mid, you could use that Sheriff that you purchased, right? Because you bought it for a reason. You spent 800 credits on it. This is not cheap necessarily, right? So I would really prefer if instead of rotating through spawn over here, you would have like given yourself a better rotation route where you could have like actually made something happen in this round. But I think you kind of just rotated through spawn and it really like messed you up. So what I'm going to recommend at the end of this VOD is that I don't think that you should buy the Bucky anymore, at least for the time being, unless you're going for like a really big eco play, like you're going to play really, really close. I look for a pick. But even with the Bucky, you could still buy a shorty and it gets like pretty much the same thing accomplished. So it's like, I'm really leaning away from the Bucky for you. I think there's a time and place for it. I don't even think it's a horrible gun, but I think that it's building bad habits for you, and I would much rather see you purchase a Spectre rather than buy a Bucky every round and then like rotate through spawn like this, right? You can even use your smokes to rat a little bit, right? So like when you're walking up right here and this guy dies, maybe you drop a smoke like right here. And you get ready to like walk up on it. You can even drop it deeper if you think this guy's closer to you. But like using your smokes to kind of like close this gap on people. You could have smoked this. You could have grabbed the Vandal. Right? There's a couple options here, right? But for the most part, I'm not a fan of this buy, and I think that this Bucky playstyle is kind of holding you back a little bit. So I would try to lean away from purchasing the Bucky, at least for the time being. Once you get a little bit more comfortable in the game, maybe you can come back to it. But for the most part, I think that it's kind of just hurting your gameplay a little bit.
Don't check anything.
In a similar regard to the Bucky, notice how you have your classic right here, and you're playing on generator again. And I know that you just made the read that like the neon likes to like run out like this, and she likes to like hit sight. But for the most part, like with your classic, you're gonna want to be playing a lot closer, just because you could play here, but inevitably you're gonna get wrapped and like just trade it out. So like if you play close with your jet, notice how she just took the peek right there. You can like rat in the smoke or something, or you could play close and you guys can set up a crossfire. There's a lot of options for you with the classic at like close range, but as far range, you're pretty much always going to lose this fight. And it's not just like right here. Basically the other thing I wanted to talk about is just being like desperate to play with your teammates and play off of them, especially in scenarios where they have guns and you don't. Notice how you have this classic right here, and you want to be of value. You don't want to just like sit here and get nothing accomplished. So what you're going to see is like you hear a lot of people rotating out. Your Sage is going to take contact top mid. This kind of signifies to me that they're probably doing something like this, right? In this case, what I would do is stick with your jet. Like your jet's gonna run up mid, and I want to be with this guy because he has a gun and I don't. So you have two scenarios that this guy has a gun, right? One is that he dies and you get his rifle. Hopefully you trade him out. You're able to pick it up, right? The other is that you die and he's able to trade you out, which is fine in this scenario because notice you have no utility anyway. You have no armor. You have a classic. This guy's a vandal. He probably has armor. He probably has utility, right? It would be good for you to get traded out right now.
Look at Reyna back.
But instead, you're gonna sit on jet. Your jet dies. You guys lose this rifle now. Keep in mind, this rifle that the jet had is now in enemy hands. So it's like you would love to have that right now, right? But you didn't go with him, so you aren't able to get it. Now it is possible that when you go over there, you get run over. But like that's how you make plays, right? She can't. She's not gonna hold down a push 1v5. It's just not gonna happen, right? But like 2v5, maybe you get like 2-3 picks, and then like this guy in mid, he's able to find something off of you guys, and you guys are only able to all fight together. You already have your Fade jumping in heaven, so. But like notice how now you're in a 1v5 with a classic, and you're gonna end up saying after this round, like, what am I supposed to do? But like, there's nothing you could do here. You've already lost. The round's over, right? So you just have to think about it like that. If you don't have value early enough, you're just gonna die, right? There's nothing you can do about it. So you need to be like desperate to be doing things in this game. You don't want to just be sitting back. You want information. You want to be playing off your teammates. You want to trade off of them. You want to get kills. You want to get better positioning. But like if you just sit back and wait, you're normally gonna lose. So this is going to be another round where I'm talking about how players need to feel desperate to get value. So notice how you're going to have your two players in mid, you have this guy in spawn doing nothing, right? And then you have your jet over here, right? So if you're just sitting here on B main and you're not playing close, you're kind of missing out on like just a lot of opportunities to make a play. But also keep in mind, like if you're sitting on this half of B main, you are as far away from A as you can be. So normally in matchmaking, especially in lower ranks, you could play like a fast rotate rule because enemies aren't going to be like very quiet when they do things, right? So notice how like already we're having red flags. We're 3 seconds into the round. I haven't heard anything at all, right? So what does that mean? Well, it could mean that they are walking silently, and these bronze players are the most disciplined people on the planet. They are all holding shift. Nobody made noise, right? Now, you could tell I'm being a little sarcastic. That's probably not going to happen. Most of the time in bronze, like at least one dude's going to make a footstep, right? He's going to make noise, and you're going to know that he's there. So if you're standing right here and you hear people moving, then you know they're here, right? And if you don't, that's why you didn't ult, right? You didn't hear anything. Then you know that they have to be somewhere else, right? So I'm already looking at the map and I'm figuring out where these guys are. Now, if you feel uncomfortable with this, maybe you think that there's like a lurk or something, what you can do is you can play here and you can like jiggle it and you can just see if anybody's peeking into B main. And if you don't see anybody in B main, this is a pretty deep angle, right? If you get info in B main and you don't see anything, you can safely assume they're not here. They could be tiles, could be top mid, could be A, right? If there are any of these areas, then you can like immediately be like, okay, I don't see anything here. I'm going to leave, right? And even if you're leaving it open, at the very least, you can play retake. Normally, I don't like to be in an anchor position if I can avoid it. But for the most part, like in bronze, people are going to 5-man. They're just going to stick together, right? So right here, notice this round, it's going to end up with you being in another like 1v4, 1v5. Your teammate dies in mid, what I'm thinking. Teammate dies in mid. This guy's top cat. What is top cat? It's closest to? It's closest to A. That means that we're probably like prepping for an A hit, right? Or an A split. Normally, you're not going to be like 1-1-1-1, right? Or like 2 anything. just because it's pretty spread out, and like one person alone is kind of risky, right? Normally people want to do the buddy system so they could trade each other out, and just naturally, what do you do when you're on attack, right? Especially low ranks, you see one dude run over here, and everybody just follows him. So that's gonna be pretty common in low ranks, and you could kind of like predict where enemies are off of this, right? But instead, what you're gonna do is you're gonna back up even, right? So notice we were playing here, like I said, the rotation's already far. You're gonna back up as far away as you can be from A site, pretty much. Killjoy ulti comes in, you're still not going, now you're going, right? And it's like by the time that you actually are rotating over, you're in a 1v4. You haven't even left B site, right? So I know that you end up being like, okay, well, nobody's calming or anything, but it's like you have to be desperate to want this info. You have to be desperate to like have value in the round. Because like I said, if you don't have value early enough, your whole team's gonna die. So like say for example, you're jiggling here, you don't see anything, you can push through. Once you push through, you know nobody's here. Guys, it's A. It's A. It has to be A. I'm through B main. I don't see anything, right? So you can start communicating these things to your team and you can get a ton of info. Or maybe you're jiggling, you don't see anything. Like I said, you rotate over. This is going to be a 5-stack now when they run in. They pop this Killjoy ulti. You have your Brim ulti, right? Maybe you wait for it to go off, you ult right here. Or you can ult the Killjoy ulti, right? There's a lot of options for you. But just sitting back here, you end up in a 1v4 because you didn't have enough value early on in the round. You end up losing, right? So it just sucks. Like I said, I want to evoke that in your head where you have to be desperate to get value in the round. You have to really do things before your teammates die. Otherwise, you're going to lose rounds like this again and again. Oh, something I also forgot to mention is that if you're not hearing anything on B and you're still worried about like what's going on in the round, you can ask what your teammates are hearing on A, right? Like you saw your Jet, she was here, she smoked it, she dashed away, right? In that case, she gave up A main control. You guys don't have B main control. But like she dashed away, she gave it up for a reason. It's not like she just left, right? So it's like you can think about those things too. Like just if you're looking for ways to communicate with your teammates, ask them about the info that you want. What do I want to know? Or do I want to know if they're A or do I want to know if they're B? Like what's going on? So you can ask those questions. They'll oftentimes people will respond. So we're going to focus on this round right here. I think this is going to be our last round of the defense, and I just kind of wanted to highlight once again a common habit that you have, which is you didn't really account for the Sky ulti again. They have 4 ultimates here, by the way, so a lot to account for, but for the most part, the Sky ulti is pretty dangerous. It's going to end up getting you killed. It's hard to account for it. I also don't like this Bucky positioning, again, because notice how if you hold B main and they come out of B main, at least you have 1 choke point. Right now, you can get wrapped stairs and you can get pushed lane, so along with the Sky ulti, it's kind of just like rough for you, but... you're gonna end up getting hit by it and you get traded or killed anyway, and then basically what's gonna happen is that your teammates are gonna play together, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit of this, right? So they're coming in for the retake. Your Reyna has a classic. It's pretty brutal, to be entirely honest. I wonder if he could have gotten a gun in main. I don't actually know, but notice how your Reyna goes in before the Jet. And I know this isn't you, but I just wanted to comment on it because like this is really bad, right? He wants to wait for his Jet. So oftentimes you can kind of encourage this, and you can kind of like min-max these post plants, even while you are dead, right? And you can give communication, like maybe these players will listen and they'll try to play it according to how you're saying. Right now, nobody's saying anything. So basically what I would recommend is be annoying. Just calm everything you see, everything that you want them to do. Act like you're playing like an RTS game. I don't know if you ever play like StarCraft or like a MOBA or anything, but you're basically just trying to pilot these characters. You're trying to tell them what to do, right? Because right now they're not doing this well. Reyna's gonna run in with a classic. He's alone. So by the way, he has a classic, right? So like I said, when you had a classic, his goal is to get traded, right? So this Jet wants to be with him, so that way he can trade him out. Or Jet can even drop him his rifle because the Reyna's ulted. So maybe that's an option, right? But oftentimes you're not gonna see a Jet in bronze drop his rifle like that. But it's something I wanted to mention because it would be a great idea. Because notice how this Reyna's gonna die alone, and now your Jet's in a 1v2, and he's gonna end up dying too. You're gonna say something at the end of this round that I wanted to talk about, though.
Brim is backside?
Yeah, should I say Brim is backside? Yes, you should say everything. Everything. Just calm everything. So I pulled up a round from like Tarek, and I just wanted to like talk about how, like the difference between the comms in your game versus like right here. I just wanted you to take a listen, okay? So we're just gonna listen to one round.
Nice. Sky's gonna be benched really late in like 5 seconds.
And keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of people calming this round, and I understand that you're not going to ever get this level of quality from your comms. But at the very least, you could try to like fit all of these roles, right? Like this guy's saying there's a guy in vents, Tarek's saying he's close, right? When you look up at your map, like what do you see? There's the dog. I want you to keep in mind that you could voice all of these things, and it might be kind of exhausting. This is why we recommend playing like 1 to 2 games a day, or 2 to 3, sorry. Just because if you're playing more than that, eventually you're going to kind of stop calming as much. but your aim might improve still, so it's like definitely still worth it. But for the most part, if you're looking for like high quality matches, you need to be talking to your team.
I'm low. Oh, that's down. What the? Please tell me we get.
That's crazy.
B split, yes or no? Now.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
I'll be
Jet might be posted on you, son.
B split, yes or no. That's like a big one. Like he's asking what his teammates want. People are like, there. Satchel's in.
Not Raptor.
Not rafters.
Oh.
I think he said he's out rafters.
New box, nice.
Spike
New box.
down B.
Wait, was there a prediction?
Jet has op stuff.
Jet is op still.
On the right. Not the chasing.
So this is like
Alright, everyone hunt.
everyone. It's like even when they're trolling, they're still like talking to each other. But notice how like there's constant communication throughout this round. Like they're asking questions, they're trying to like feed information to their teammates, and they're trying to make things happen. Whereas like in your games, like you're even wondering like should I have said that the guy was backside? It's like yeah, you should say everything. I would prefer that you are annoying to your teammates than you are not calming at all, because the more annoying you are, you'll figure out what works and what doesn't, and you'll get feedback from your teammates. If you're annoying and they're telling you, then you're gonna be like, okay, well I need to stop talking as much. But like for the most part, I would say that I backseat like a decent amount, and I never get critiqued for it because I've just like gotten good at it, right? I know when to backseat and I know when not to, right? I'll make comms to players. I'll be like, hey, you guys should set up a crossfire right now, and they will set up a crossfire, and they don't see that as backseating. It's more like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We should set up a crossfire, right? So it's like when you start saying things like that and you experiment with different ideas and like different comms, you figure out what works and what doesn't. But if you don't say anything, you will never get better at communicating. It's probably the hardest thing in the game to do. So I would recommend getting on it early, because it's very difficult to be good at calming and to leave out all the fluff. This is going to be another Bucky round. I just wanted to comment again how I'm not really a fan of it. So you're going to drop your smokes, and basically the reason that it kind of worries me, especially on offense, is that like if your team dies and you're stuck with a Bucky, you don't really have a lot of options. And like even like entering here, right? Say for example, you like push out of this smoke, and there ends up being like a guy heaven or like backside. What are you gonna do about him? You got to run up to go and hit this guy, so it's just gonna be bad. I would really prefer that you have a Spectre on these rounds. It looks like you guys won pistol round, so like you're in a good position. You have your Sheriff again, and you're not gonna end up using it. I don't think in this round anyway. And basically, you guys kind of get carried based off of your teammates rotating through here. So first of all, big recommendation: size up your minimap. So this is the settings I recommend using. Right here, you can look at them. Minimap zoom should be around 0.9 actually, if you want to see everything. But basically, this will size up your minimap so you never lose out on info. And then the other thing is just that like if you see your teammates like in a position like this, you can definitely rotate, because you kind of you make them basically win this round for you. It's not like anything that you guys did that's crazy. I do love your patience. You seem like a very patient player who's comfortable just sitting behind these smokes and like waiting, right? Which is great. I would prefer that you sit behind these smokes than you run in like a lot of players would. A lot of players would just run straight through this, right? But you sit here and you play patiently. Your teammates get the flank. You actually noticed it eventually, and you like calmed that they were doing this, and you guys end up winning the round, right? This is actually kind of sick. But for the most part, I don't like the Bucky because it doesn't give you a lot of options. You kind of have to sit there, because like if you have a Bucky, you can't rotate through mid really. You're not gonna be able, like, say for example, somebody pushed through A main, you're gonna or like B main, you're kind of screwed. When you come out of here, it would really suck. So it's like it just doesn't give you a lot of options. I would steer more towards the Spectre, because if you're buying a Sheriff and a Bucky anyway, you're already overspending on it. You can just get a Spectre. It's kind of like the in between, like the perfect in between of it. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. We're going to go to round 6-8. This is going to be a almost clutch from you, right? Once again, here's the Bucky from you. You guys walk up into main. You end up losing your spike top mid, and you rotate over. And again, this Bucky's going to kind of hinder you, because you're going to peek this with a Sheriff. You get flashed. And notice how you kind of like go into the corner here with this Bucky, just because you don't like, you're not currently holding a weapon where like it makes sense for you to take a duel. So like when your Sage ends up swinging this, there's not like this immediate drive from you to like help this guy. Like he's taking a gunfight right now, and optimally you're swinging with this guy, but instead you're like firing the molly on flank. And it's like, I would really prefer that you had swung and you had traded this out immediately. But you're going to end up getting the kill, and you end up rotating over here towards B. You get the plant. You actually play this really well proactively, I mean, by jumping up onto lane. I really like this. You could have gone either way. You could have gone stairs. You could have gone lane. Lane works. And I liked it all the way up until this point, right? Because you hear this guy drop, and rather than like cheating out and looking for this fight, you end up just hugging this wall. And you have to keep in mind that when this guy swings, he's looking here. right? Like there's nowhere else for him to look. It's a like long, narrow corridor, basically. So he's looking right at you. And when you're at 72 HP, it's going to oftentimes just result in you dying. So oftentimes when you're in that 1v2, you like to play aggressive, right? I like this play. It's almost aggressive enough, almost. But when you hear that drop and you know where the player is, I would rather see you actively looking for this fight on this guy than just sitting here and letting him walk into you. Because when he walks into you, you're just going to end up losing the fight, right? He swings right past your crosshair, and you end up blaming it on your aim. But when I see this, what I'm thinking is like, man, I wish that you had just played just a little bit more aggressively, because you could have easily caught this guy off guard. Notice how he was even smoking. He's smoking just before this. So it's like if you had pushed up here, you probably just killed this guy with his iPad out. He might even have his iPad out right now, for all I know. There's that smoke coming down. Notice how if you had peeked, you would have just killed this guy immediately, right? Who knows? Maybe you even get two. Maybe his teammate's like over here or something. But for the most part, yeah. I think that you played that pretty well up until that point. But keep looking for that pick until you've narrowed down that numbers advantage. Once you're in the 1v1, sure, whatever, play it. But for the most part, in that 1v2, you need to play proactively. You need to keep pushing until you get that pick. Because if you let them get too close, they're going to win the round. I guarantee it, every time. So this is going to be a round 6-9 right here. You guys are rotating over. You're in a 2v2. So I wanted to comment on this round, because I think that it seems like you're not thinking enough about your teammates, which is something I commented on the defense. Notice how like the Jet was taking the duel on Kawak and she ended up dying, or like your teammates over here. You weren't like worried about getting value. Your fade ran out heaven. There's a lot of like areas where it's like you need to be like thinking about where your teammates are and like how you can play off of them before they inevitably get themselves killed. Is kind of the way that I think about it. So like right here, notice how your Sage is planning spike. This is fine that you're holding heaven. You probably should have closed the door when you came in right behind her, but that's okay. This is a little risky. That's basically what I'm saying. Like having to run back out here on low HP is never optimal. But they're gonna spam the door. And what I'm thinking right now is that it looks like your Sage just walled heaven, and I want to make sure that at the very least, when the Sage dies, I end up in a 1v1. Now she could swing this, entirely possible. She swings it, gets 2, wins the round, right? Very hopeful, but if it happens, sick. But for the most part, what's going to happen eventually is that she's going to take contact, and I would like to see you ready to swing off of it so you can like help her out. Because if you're able to make this into a 1v1, it's going to be a lot easier to win than if it's a 1v2, right? So notice how your Sage dies, and like you're so afraid to like swing out here. You didn't use your Molly, you didn't use your ultimate or anything. You're saving it for post plant. So you end up winning this, and ends up being okay. But for the most part, it kind of sucks that your Sage died without getting anything. I would have really loved to see if you were like ready to play off of her, ready to swing off of her, or you're even just like looking to help her, right? Because like once you got smoked off, it seemed like you just kind of like stopped caring. And maybe it's because you checked flank or something. But for the most part, you need to be like desperate to get value in these rounds, because if you don't get value, like I said, your teammates are going to die and you're going to be in bad positions. So you end up winning this. That's just a good clutch. But I just wanted to comment on that because I think that you are not helping your teammates nearly as often as you probably could be. Okay, this is the last round that we're going to talk about, and basically what I wanted to say is that you don't have an entry on your team, which is bad, and that's kind of what you voice in this round, is that like that's like your issue, is that nobody's entering. But you're also not really voicing any concerns in the match either, so you have to accept responsibility for it, because at the end of the day, this is going to be your teammates every game, right? So you can be insane and you can just constantly complain about your teammates being bad and underperforming, or you could just accept that your teammates are bad and they're going to underperform frequently, right? So when this Molly comes in, basically what I wanted to say is like, first of all, yeah, you guys don't have an entry, so that's kind of makes it difficult. But the other thing is too that you guys are mollied right now. You can't really entry. You're mollied, you're smoked. It doesn't really make sense for you guys to just sprint through here. I know that you use your smokes, but for the most part, I wanted to just kind of like articulate this because I think that there's a misunderstanding on how Valorant's played just a little bit, right? So Valorant can be described in early, in middle game, and an end game for each round, pretty much, right? So the early game would be things such as what you're doing right now, right? You guys are taking control of area, you're gathering info, you're maybe looking for like an opening pick so that you can figure out what you want to do in the mid game. Right now, you guys grab B main control. It looks like you're fighting mid, you're getting info in mid. And like that's pretty decent. That's not bad, right? You guys are doing stuff. So even if you're not entering and running straight into sight, this is fine. Now most teams they'll skip the early game in matchmaking by just rushing into sight, right? So they skip the whole gathering info stage, and they just will run into sight, and they'll just kind of like try to bum rush it and hope that they win, right? This isn't the best thing in the world, and you'll very rarely see like pro teams just straight booking it in, unless it's like maybe once every few halves, right? So they're not going to be like just booking it in every single time. They're normally going to establish like defaults like this, right? They're going to smoke stuff. They're going to use utility to take this control. They're going to kind of do things based off of reads, right? So maybe their read is like, hey, Brimstone's playing here, A main, man, their team comp is actually really hard to push into. They have the Killjoy, they got the Breach, they got the Brimstone. So it's kind of bad for this example, but say, for example, your read is, hey, it's just the Neon playing A main, right? A Neon player might be pretty easy to run over. So maybe it's like, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to fade Prowler, and then our Jet's going to dash behind the fade Prowler, and like we can high over sight. Maybe Reyna can blind for him, and we'll go really fast, and we'll try to like run this player over because the Neon can't stop our push. That'll be a way that you can like handle it, right? But for the most part, nobody's articulating anything. So it kind of makes sense that everybody's just wandering around doing nothing, right? And honestly, I don't even hate it, right? You got a smoke out, you got Molly out. This Jet just found a pick. This is actually sick. So although you don't have an entry, it's like your team's doing work right now. This is fine. So now you can wait for the smoke to fade. Here's they're hanging out. Notice how when you're making noise too. If you guys are gonna sit here behind a smoke, just don't make noise, right? There's no reason to be running around and making all this noise, because at least when you're not making noise, they're questioning if you're there or not, and they might like walk in and they might pry for more info. When you're running around, there's no question, right? But yeah, your team's gonna make noise here. They're gonna finding a kills. Jet gets another kill, and that's a 5v3, right? Your Jet's winning the round right now. So although you don't have an entry, this Jet's doing work, right? And you guys are getting into sight. This is more of the middle game, right? Notice how you guys are, you're pushing into sight. You're taking this space. You decided this is the best course of action. And now we are preparing for the end game, right? Even though it's a 4v2, right? What we're going to do, we're going to set up in a post plant, and this is how we're going to play it. So I'm going to go logs. Your fade's going to come stairs. He's going to try to play off of you. And this is going to be our end game. So although you didn't communicate any of this, right? Nobody said anything really to like get you in this position. This was all like the beginning, the early, the middle, and the end game. It all happened, right? You guys took mid control, or like B main control. You took mid, or you took tiles at the very least, right? You gathered some info. Your Jet got a couple of picks. You guys entered on a site. You got the plant, and then you took control for post plant, right? So you guys are end winning this. And it's like, I think that it felt like this round was stressful for you, because nobody was entering. But in reality, it's like you couldn't have even entered if you wanted to. Like it felt like you guys were doing fine, and you just need to recognize that it's like, yeah. So sometimes we just gotta let them cook. You know, so sometimes we just gotta let the round play out. So for the most part, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So we're going to do a recap for you on things that I think are actionable that you can like definitely start applying. So first things first, I want you to start playing close to the spawn barriers, especially on defense. You can listen for info. If you don't hear anything, you can walk through. Maybe you could flank, right? And you could just like feel it out, and you could try to be like be desperate to gather info or like have an impact in the round. Because if you're just sitting back on site and waiting for people to come to you, oftentimes what's going to happen is your whole team is going to die. So you need to be desperate to get value in these games, right? Stop buying the Bucky. I would just say it's not a horrible gun. It seems like you kind of like it. I would just buy the Spectre for a little bit. Trust me. Just buy it. Get comfortable with it. You might find that you like it better. Maybe you find that you like the Bucky better in some situations and you end up buying it. You seem smart. I think that you could probably determine if it's like, should I get a Bucky and should I play close and try to get more value out of it, or should I buy the Spectre, which is like more of a medium level gun that like I can fight on multiple ranges with, right? So I would definitely recommend just buying the Spectre. I think it'll build better habits for you. Stop talking to yourself in team chat, or start talking to yourself in team chat is what I meant. Just start articulating everything. Like we watched with the Terror clip, just say everything, right? If you see a guy back sight, say guy back sight, right? If you have a plan that you want to do, if you feel like you don't have an entry, be like, hey Jack, can you come entry for us? Just like say stuff like that, right? I'm dropping smokes right here. I'm going to be ulting. I think we should set up for retake, right? Things like that. If you just start saying these things, you'll definitely improve your comms quite a bit. And then finally, always be doing something and like crafting a plan. If you're sitting behind a smoke, think about what your plan is afterwards, right? After the smoke fades in this B main, what are we going to do? Are we going to push through it? And we're going to try to take sight. Maybe we're just going to wait for them to push and like see what happens. Maybe we're waiting on one of our teammates to lurk a pick or something like that. Maybe what we want to do is we want to rotate instead. So we see the smoke, we see that they mollied it, and we determine, hey, we're probably not getting through here. Maybe you just rotate. What I would recommend is if you're playing against a Brimstone again, and he mollies in these smokes, I would just rotate right away. That'll last for 10 seconds. That's got enough time for like people to rotate over. By the time that they get here, you're already gone, right? You're already leaving. So basically, those would be my 4 notes. I'm going to put them in the Discord for you to review. And hopefully this is helpful for you, man. Let me know if you have any questions. Other than that, yeah, I'll see you later.
As always, thank you guys for sticking through this and watching. As we mentioned, if you are looking for more content just like this, we upload all of our VOD reviews to the SkillCapped website for you to view, and it's also all backed by a rank improvement guarantee, so it's literally no risk. We have dozens of brand new high quality courses getting added to the site recently that most of you have never seen before. So if you're looking to really elevate your game, this is the best place to do so. On top of all the courses that will get you caught up to speed in no time, we also offer coaching to all members of the site in our Discord. So you're quite literally getting insane value for just a $20 subscription.
You get access to coaching sessions, you get access to courses, and you start to rank up. What more could you want? Check out SkillCapped today, and we will see you there.